Hello there, Seraphim 17 once again. This is my Devil May Cry 4 Dante Must Die difficulty video walkthrough. This is mission 19, the Successor. This is also a triple S rank walkthrough if you didn't realise. It should be in the title, making it all convoluted and strange like most titles tend to do when they get more obscure. This is the dice game. I've already mentioned I don't like the dice game. We're not going to go there, so instead we're going to talk about everything in between the dice game. The very first encounter here is with a bunch of Angelos, and if you've never fought this enemy before, how the hell did you get to this point in the game? That's my question. No. The best way to kill this enemy is to kill it by killing it. There you go. End of guide, end of commentary, knowledge dropped. Now that is actually true though. The best way to kill these is to send the fireball back at them. To get them to do the fireball, however, is an art form. They just kind of want to do it sometimes, and other times they don't. And it can be really frustrating, other times it can be really simple. You don't control it, it's just capricious AI at its finest. We're now back in the capable hands of Nero. Unfortunately, the transition between Nero and Dante is never a graceful one, so you may see some mistakes, but luckily enough, they should be a little bit more graceful than the ones I made with Dante, because he is significantly more tricky to use than Nero. So I get clipped there because this enemy is just not doing what I want it to do. I would go as far as to say is if they don't play the game, just restart the mission, because you waste so much time waiting for them to arse around instead of doing the thing you need them to do. It's daft, and sure you can fight them normal, but I personally do not like fighting groups of Angelo. I find it really annoying. They're way too inquisitive. If they were stupid, then I probably wouldn't have a problem with it, but they're far too eager to get in the way, and they have a lot of range with those lancers. And this is it. So wait for it and then shoot it. That's it. There you go. That could have happened in 10 seconds or it can take 10 minutes. It's one of those strange things you don't control. But we now move up here. On the right is some Devil Trigger. On the left is, I believe, some life. Make sure you have a full charge on your Exceed when you go into the encounters. It'll just give you that extra bit of damage. If you're already at the point where you're really comfortable with the Exceed and you can get it reliably, then good on you, because I just cannot. You're going to have a lot easier time getting style points and doing damage. And I don't know, it's one of those things where if it was on a PS1 controller, I think I'd be better at the Exceed because of the way the buttons work. Undoubtedly, when you have triggers, it adds to delay. Even if you don't realise it, it does, because there is that trigger depth, which is always going to add to delay, and it's going to help hinder your precision. And I know that sounds like an excuse. It's not really, because I can accept I'm not very good at exceeding. But I do believe that if it was mapped to a different button, it would be easier to do it. It's just, I never mapped it to another button, and I probably never will. But here's Berial. You've seen me fight Berial. I have good days and bad days with him. Some days I'm fine, other days I'm utter shit. This is probably one of the bad days, because I don't seem to be getting many Exceeds. I don't seem to be hitting him with many calibers or anything too powerful like streaks and things. But I'm dodging his attacks, I'm not getting too greedy. That one is really tough to dodge when you're in the middle of a combo. It's very fast, it's why you should never stay on the left side, on his right, sorry. Because he's got an open hand and he just does that really big cigarette punch. There's his massive aura attack, jump out of the way or use your Devil Trigger to evade it. One way you can fight him, which can be really effective but at the same time it can be really disorientating, is to buster his head. You can do almost like a teleport move and flip over him, and it dodges a lot of attacks if you do it right. I just never really enjoyed fighting him that way, so that's one of the reasons you've never seen me do it. I don't like the Pillar of Fire attack because my controller gets me killed with it. You know, run away from a bunch of fire with a controller that won't let me run. Watch, does it do it? Do it! Oh, it didn't do it. That saved him as well because he was stunned. Tricky bastard. So I do the jump buster, and I'm probably going to try and get the ground buster on him. And this might be the end of good old Berial. If not, we'll just hit him with one of the many attacks. Oh no, he's got tons of life. What am I talking about? Terrible. I should have done what I'm doing right now. Should have hit him with that. There's his Devil Trigger. Couple more combos. You don't have to worry about your stylish meter here, because this is a level that has, 4 bosses? If you can't get the S after 4 bosses, how the hell did you survive the bosses? You know, you have to at least hit them a few times, and in hitting them a few times, you're getting style points, and I don't think it's an unnaturally large requirement on this level. But there goes Berial. He's the exact same as he was the first time you fought him. The only difference now is if you're on a new game, you have more abilities, or if you're playing through it, you know, for the umpteenth time, maybe you're a bit more familiar with the game, or you're a little bit sharper than you were when you first clashed heads. But moving swiftly on to Bael, or Bael, or however you want to say it. We play the dice game, there's more life should you choose to grab it, should you need it. And Bael is considerably easier with Nero, I think. That being said, if you can hit him right with the distorted real impacts, he dies very quick as Dante. But the thing I like with Nero is the dynamic of the fight. You know, you spend the fight chasing him, you spend the fight attacking his weak spot, which is his top part, and then every so often he runs away, and then you can bum rape those stupid, elven, crazy, whatever they are, octopus women things. And I think it's a boss where he does run from you, he's a bloody coward, but it's handled well, unlike Sanctus, who is a coward handled poorly. So I do the same thing with these ladies. I grab them until I can punch them with my giant, like, ghost hand. Give them a nice ghost tickle. I don't know why they're they're so endowed for almost being very childlike. They've got some tatas on them, which you wouldn't really think, considering they look like children, which is a very dark hole, and a very strange hole for any man to try and dig. But I don't really understand these. They give you orbs, they damage the boss, they're part of his misdirection, you know, he goes invisible, he lures you in with the sexy looking nymph thing, and then he hates you. So many a fair gentleman have probably fell to the foul mouth of this ghostly maiden. Ugh. There's nothing worse, man. That's the thing I hate about sirens. Like, sirens are meant to be these just completely visions of women. Just beautiful, insanely salacious visions with this musical singing voice that lulls sailors to them, and it's a lie. It's a giant lie. They're really lulling them to the rocks to sink their ships, and then they die. And there's a lot of stuff like that in folklore and mythology. There's a lot of these honey traps, and I still think that they have moral relevance today, because if you've ever been to a bar or a pub or a club, whatever you want to call it, that serves drinks to questionably aged clients, then you generally find that there's a lot of people underage go there, and especially if it's alternative. The alternative places always seem to be the worst, and I have found myself in such circumstances where the person on my lap questionably could have still been at school. And in England, luckily enough, the age where things along the lines of statutory rape and all those horrible other things that happen stops being a problem at around 16, which is where you technically, in some ways, are able to copulate and everything and all that fun stuff. But still, like, those places can make you feel really old, and even when you're not, and you can be there enjoying a drink, listening to some good music with some friends, and because people are young, and I'm not saying it's just girls, because it's not just girls, it's boys and girls, but they're young and they're dumb, and that's the thing, you know, they're on top of the world and they don't realise it, that they're in fact not even in the fucking world yet, they're in a bubble that's isolated outside of the world, that's filled with lollipops and gumdrop smiles. So you get them doing things like deep-throating bottles when you find out later on that they're 14, and you're kind of like, Jesus Christ, I am so happy that as amorous and as unquenchable as my thirst for the female form can be, I didn't end up getting myself into a spot of bother. So moral of the story, folks, you know, always ask them how old they are. And the nymphs knew it, the naiads knew it, they all knew it. You know, those forest spirits. It's always a lie, just like the cake. I mean, just look at, is it succubuses? They're even worse. They're essentially the ultimate honey traps. And they don't even involve, you know, a prison stay or getting introduced to the concept of taking one up the a-hole. they're just bad news altogether, because they just kill you for the joy of it, and they masquerade as something that is a hot-blooded male's weakness. A bit like this creature here, I suppose, in some ways, although she's a little bit easier to spot that she's perhaps not 100% human. But I still don't understand their purpose in that fight. It seems really strange. Like, who the hell's going through that crazy enemy-filled, devil-filled, icy castle to get to these crazy, questionably aged pink nymphs who then turn out to be attached to the tentacles like an anglerfish on a giant demon frog? Crazy. But I watched my old video a couple days back of me looping this boss, and the loop is great. It's so good, but I didn't even stun her, I don't think, on this. And when you stun her, you can buster her. But if you choose not to buster her, you can do the loop. And I really should have showed you that. But I couldn't remember how to do it. And I'm one of those people that, even if it's my own video, I don't really want to watch it because I want the guide to have its own character. There's a stunned as well. You can now buster her in this form. Do a few attacks and then buster her. If you want to get max damage, you need to know when you have to buster her, because I never run the risk of her coming out of that state, because it's a lot of free damage to miss out on. It also helps you get really stylish points. Somebody mentioned in a previous video too that when she does the dash at you like this, I believe you can stop her by bustering her, which is something I never knew. And if I had known, I would have probably tried to do that, because I like that kind of stuff. You can also reflect those back. Somebody mentioned that as well. I like, impromptu uses of attacks. I think it's really interesting and it adds depth. But this is what I hate about this fight. Like, does she really have to summon those crazy spikes so much that do big sweeping arcs and make it really tricky to combo her? Like, a lot of the no damage runs you see against this boss, if they're not spent in mid-air, they're spent running away. And it's one of those things where I don't really want to run away from a boss. This can be annoying too, because if you lock on, get stuck on that little shit, she can be attacking you and you can't see her. So you want to get rid of it as fast as you can, because it can be a big old pain in the ass, those stupid chicken nuggets. But she starts spamming this a lot when she's low life, and it does a lot of damage. Like, if she hits me, she'll probably do half a life bar, maybe more. And she's devil triggered now. This is the attack I personally like. I like it when she starts doing that kind of crazy hair metal hair toss thing. But she's dead. Not a graceful fight by any means, but we got rid of her. She's probably the toughest boss in the combo for me at this point, because I'm just not that good at fighting her anymore. It used to be different. I used to be really good against Echidna, however you pronounce her. The obvious jailbait is obvious lady. Once again, I'm shooting the bulbs so that I can get all the orbs. The orb requirement on this level has never challenged me, so hopefully it'll never challenge you. This is one of those missions where you don't really want to be replaying it for rank if you have to, if you don't like it, because I imagine it's quite an intimidating mission. I think I mentioned earlier on, though, that this is the mission I farmed for Proud Souls on. So I used to do this level. I think I used to jump between Son of Sparta and Dante Must Die, depending on how much attention I was willing to pay. And I got to the point where I could be sat in my computer chair, which is next to my TV, and out of the corner of my eye be paying attention to what I was doing while watching stuff on my PC. Because anybody who's got all the achievements on this game knows it takes a long time. There's a lot of grinding. And it's all the stuff you didn't think it would be, like, buying all the shit and getting all the Proud Souls and buying all the items. I think you have to max out all the items, which is an interesting choice of an achievement. But here is Agnus. I was on a pretty high buzz, confidence-wise, against Agnus at this point, because I'd just done that demolition of him as Dante. So I came into this as Nero with delusions of grandeur, and it turned out to be a really good fight. So I'm hoping that this helps people that perhaps weren't satisfied with my Agnus fight in the previous chapter when we fought him before we transitioned to Dante. This one is a much more impressive one. A lot of people have been telling me things I already knew. It's out of kind nature more than trying to point faults or anything. Things along the lines of, when you're in Devil Trigger, when you're doing a throw, you can press the trigger to fire those ghost swords or those ghost bat dagger things, which Everybody should know that, and if you didn't know that, now you do. And then also things along the lines of when you're in Devil Trigger during a throw, it doesn't run the Devil Trigger down, because I was deactivating it a lot. I do know that it doesn't run it down. I've always deactivated it upon entering it for a lot of the times. It's just one of those things. It came from using it as a shield later on. And it's one of those old habits you pick up, which can be hard to drop, or that's actually more of a newer habit, that one. But there you go. I thought that was a pretty clean fight. One of the better ones in the guide. But there goes good old Agnus. Or Angus, I can't remember his fucking name. Douchebag. Bastard window man. And then the only thing left now is to hit that teleporter and then run towards the heart and I believe break the core. And once that's done, last mission, baby. And you're probably breathing a pretty big sigh of relief, because aside from the annoying nature of this next boss and the pretty harsh time limit, you will almost guaranteed have your achievement, because you don't have to get all 3 S's. You can get just, you know, an S and 2 A's and still probably get the S rank at the end. And hopefully a lot of people have realised that that achievement that looked so intimidating and so foreboding is actually quite doable. But there you go, 1357, 20,000 style points, all the orbs, 521 on the Devil Hunter rank, not too bad. Thank you very much for watching. You take care now.